Welcome into another great edition of The Rundown as we begin our spring seasons. Brandon Wirt, Jack Heckman joining you here. We got a great episode for you here today. We'll be recapping some baseball and softball scores from this past week, as well as a very special interview with Brian Chesebro of Grant Baseball. And Jack, we talked obviously in the previews, which if you guys missed that episode, you can find that on YouTube, or you can also go back to WBRN.com. This Grant team's got a lot to look forward to, so it's good to chat with Coach Chesebro about his squad.
Yeah, most definitely. I think they have some of the most pressure on them just because of the situations they put themselves in. This is a really good Grant team, and they've been behind a Big Rapids team, but maybe this is the year they get over the hump and win the conference for the first time in a long time.
Absolutely, and we'll obviously hear from him in just a few moments, as well as scores to recap, and at the end of the show, some more games to watch. Before we get started, big thanks to Denny's Muffler and Brakes in Big Rapids. You can find them on State Street, 796-6335 if you need help with any oil changes or general auto repair, so on and so forth. Call, make an appointment today. Also, big thanks to Eagle Village. If you want a job that impacts the lives of youth and the next generation, you know where to go. eaglevillage.org/careers. All right, let's go back all the way to last week's scores for baseball and softball, and it's sparse because Mother Nature did not want anybody to play last week, so we'll get to the scores, at least for the games that were played. Going all the way back to April 7th, Reed City gets a win over Pine River by a score of 7-0. Big win there for Coach Grannis' squad. Looking ahead to the 8th, Hart and Moe Stanwood, 6-3 and 10-7. The Pirates victorious there over the Mohawks. Chip Hills get an 18-3 and 11-2 pair of wins against Harrison. Those games scored and final. On the 9th, Chippewa Hills against Sanford Meridian. It'd be Chippewa Hills 4-1, and then Sanford Meridian wins 21-6. A lot of offense there in that game reported, as well as Reed City and Kingsley. Reed City getting a win 7-5, and then Kingsley getting the second game win 11-1. Final scores reported there. Looking ahead to April 11th, Chip Hills gets wins over Saginaw Arts and Sciences Academy in 3 innings. They put up 40 runs and don't allow a single run to cross there in that matchup. Impressive win there for the Warriors. Mohawks get a win over the Pirates, 6-5, the final score reported there, as well as some other games reported. Morley Stanwood against Brethren as well in tournament action as well. Some big-time games certainly for these teams earlier on in the season. As we look ahead now to April 14th, Central Montcalm gets the win 2-0 over Tri-County. Central Montcalm 6-2 victors over the Vikings as well, as Chip Hills gets wins 12-2 and 6-1 for a sweep over the White Cloud Indians. Newaygo gets wins over Lakeview 18-0 and 9-7. The final scores reported there. Big Rapids gets their first games finally under their belt, and they're both winners against the Eagles of Kent City, 9-0 and 9-4. The final scores reported there. Reed City Baseball gets the sweep over Moe Stanwood 13-2. They were ahead 2-0 in the back half of the doubleheader. That game called early due to darkness. Jack, early thoughts on a lot of these games, and I think the big thing is, one, not all the games got played, but two, when they were played, there were a lot of blowouts, but a couple games that might have been closer than we would have thought.
Yeah, I have 2 main takeaways from the games we just scored. Big Rapids pitching staff, we expected them to be good. And Cole Heist and Carson Rakoff, both 2 great pitchers, had 2 amazing outings yesterday. Rakoff had the game kind of fall away from a little bit towards the end of that one. 4 runs in the 1 inning. Miller came in to try to save it and did his job getting out with the double play there. But that easily could have been 2 shutouts for the Cardinals. And then the other thing to take away, Tri-County's ability to hang along and stay with Central Montcalm, maybe something to look at. This could be an early measuring stick there for the Vikings. We know how good the Hornets are and how good Emmett Lingman is, but the question mark for them this season is going to be how they kind of get outside of Emmett Lingman and continue going on with their bats and their secondary pitching, which will continue to be a question mark. But Central Montcalm got the job done. This is a big-time one, though, for Tri-County. They stuck around with a very, very good Hornet squad.
Absolutely some great observations, and we will collect and gather some stats as well as the season goes along and highlight some players along the way as we get some of that information obviously given to us as well. Let's take a look now at softball on the other side, starting all the way back from April 8th. Harrison and Chippewa Hills squared off. The Warriors get a thrilling win in 6 innings for 3 after Harrison winning 25-13. A lot of runs scored in that one. Moe Stanwood sweeps Hart back on April 8th, 13-3 and 14-1. Final scores reported there in that one. Looking ahead to April 11th, Moe Stanwood 15-0 and 18-0 wins over Manton and Brethren to win their championship games in tournament play. Also skipped over one from the 9th as well. Reed City and Kingsley, the Stags victorious by 11 and 5 runs apiece there in Reed City. Looking ahead to the 13th of April, Grant and Ludington squared off. First game, Grant gets out in a hurry, wins 19-5. Ludington gets revenge 3-2 in an 8-inning thriller. And that one certainly was a fun game to follow along with from afar. April 14th, that being on Tuesday, yesterday as we're recording this, Moe Stanwood and Reed City did battle. It is wins for Moe Stanwood 8-3 and 16-4. Final scores there. Newaygo and Lakeview squared off. The Lions get the win over the Wildcats 13-3 and 15-9 in 6 innings. Those ones reported there. Chip Hills at White Cloud. Warriors get wins 15-6 and 15-3. Final scores reported there. Central Montcalm against Tri-County. It's the Hornets 10-1 and 20-2 over the Vikings. And Kent City gets wins over the Cardinals of Big Rapids 5-4 and 14-4. Your final scores there. Jack, back over to you. Softball thoughts from the first week of action.
I mean, I think the main takeaway is Grant starting to struggle a little bit. Not the most ideal start they wanted. We both know how great this Grant team was last year, top of the conference, all the talent in the world in the CSAA red softball side of things. And now they've come out and struggled against a couple teams they probably shouldn't struggle against, especially a Ludington squad that was 5-17 last season, didn't end up winning a playoff game last year. This Grant team needs to settle in and start to find themselves. And you mentioned that the thriller, they had 8 innings, and then for Grant just barely to edge them out. This is definitely raising some question marks.
Absolutely. And Moe Stanwood continues to roll as well to start the season. The Mohawks look primed for a big-time season on the softball side of things as well. We got some big games upcoming as well into the next week. We will talk about that upcoming after our great interview. I had the chance to sit down with Grant head coach on the baseball diamond of Brian Chesebro on their season ahead, looking for the Tigers and their expectations for this season. So without further ado, let's send you to the interview room with head coach Chesebro with Grant Baseball. Now joining us here, a great interview with head Grant varsity baseball coach Brian Chesebro. Coach, thank you so much for joining us here on the Rundown.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I know it's a very exciting season for you and all the Tiger fans out there. Just talk about the start of the season right now, hovering around that 500 mark through your first 5 games.
Yeah, we've played some pretty tough competition to start, I believe, before spring break. We had Kennewa Hills, then we had Oak Ridge, we've had Sparta, and then we got the juggernaut thrown in there. We had the number 3 in the state, Spring Lake. So, yeah, we're ready to go. The biggest problem is weather right now.
Absolutely. And you're not the only one there really battling the weather so far. But when you look especially from where this group was last year, obviously, over the double-digit win marks, really getting towards 20, runner-up in the conference. What's kind of been the expectation through a lot of the spring training, getting ready for the season, where this team expects to be by the end of the year?
We've talked about it a lot. This group, like I've said before to a lot of people, has been together since they were probably 8, 9 years old. They've battled a lot of kids. There's a lot of rivals out there, let's call it. So our expectations are very high for this year. Conference champs. We've been second 2 or 3 years in a row. So this year's conference champs and district champs.
Absolutely. And obviously the program's had history of winning league titles and especially winning conference championship is the hope this year. What is it about this group and especially some of the key guys that you're returning for their senior seasons on your roster that can make it possible?
Yeah, the biggest thing, we've got 7 seniors this year. 6 of them are starting. Most of them have been playing varsity ball since their sophomore year. So they're well experienced. They've got tons of knowledge of the baseball game. They've been playing together since they were, like I said, 6, 7 years old. We did travel ball with them, middle school ball. They're just really experienced, really fun group to be with. And then you throw in, I think your partner said it the other day, you throw in the basketball season. These boys were all basketball too. So they've got this knowledge of how to win.
For sure. And you mentioned kind of the athleticism that this group brings and with that momentum coming from basketball. One thing you pointed out when we were talking in the preseason that you said this group is very versatile and very athletic and can move around. How much does that really build for you with the lineup card, just going through the year, battling, through April where injuries might be a concern, right? Fatigue might be a concern, but you got guys that you can move around for that reason.
Yeah, we're very fortunate this year. I believe we can plug and play anybody, any place, anywhere. That's going to be our biggest strength this year for us. We can, we've got our top three pitchers. We've got, anybody at any point. If we need to move them around to pitch to get into out, we can move guys around and not really worry too much about that.
Absolutely. When you compare to the conference and especially the district teams that you'll play, what do you think about this team and your lineup and your field that really is the standing factor on what could be that one thing to get you guys up to the top and be able to win those titles?
I think our biggest thing is going to be our pitching. Our pitching, I believe, for us, with having this group of boys being varsity since sophomore year, they are seasoned and ready to go. And then as far as for our lineup, we really haven't established the lineup yet. We're getting close, but where we're at right now, I love what I'm seeing.
Absolutely. And you had back-to-back 18-win seasons. Just talk about where this group has progressed, even though the wins not necessarily have kind of went up over the last couple of years. Based on what I've heard, the team's been playing better. So when you look at this group, really, what's the thing from last year to this year that you want to hope to see improve and become a strength for this year's team?
The biggest thing for this year is going to be the mental side of the game. With this group, we've got to understand that this game's hard enough as it is, right? So when we make a mistake, pick each other up, keep going. That's what this group's really working on this year. The conference is going to be a tough conference. It always is every year. We're going to be battling, and anybody at any point in time during the season can pick up a win, drop a loss. We found that out last year. So.
Absolutely. And that leads right into the next question. What are your thoughts on the conference with this 6 teams in the red, as well as some other teams you'll play over in the white non-conference play?
Well, that's the exciting part this year is we actually have on our schedule the white. Last year we didn't because we played the 3-game series. Man, this is going to be a battle-tested season for everybody. I wouldn't put anybody out of the picture of getting up there towards the top. I think the biggest battle, of course, is the Grant Big Rapids rivalry. Been going on for years since the boys been in juniors little league. We still got the 5-mile rival up north, Newego. We got Kent City to the south. Chip Hills is always going to be somebody that you got to look out for. Brian Wright's got a great program there. So yeah, it's going to be a battle. If we're going to have some of these games get canceled, then we might have to possibly reschedule them, and it's not going to be a good day for one, and it's going to be a good day for somebody else, right? Just based on what your schedule is.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the schedule, the slate of games, obviously the N37 rivalry, Big Rapids, obviously you guys were top of the 2 of the table last year. What are some other games that you guys are looking out for? And I know the county tournament is certainly one circled on your list too.
Yes, the county tournament's a big thing. It's kind of a good tournament. We can't wait to play in that. We've won that 2 years in a row. Looking for that one. We're really looking forward to Fruitport coming up. That'll get us. That's the end of our season. We play them. They're always tough, and we want to see where we're ready for districts with. I think as far as for conference play, it's going to be a grind. It's going to be a grind the whole season because you still want to fill in some of those non-conference games to get some other stuff going. But to play Tuesdays, Thursdays now, it's going to be tough. I did like the 3-game series. I understand why they got rid of it, but I loved it. I thought it was I thought it was awesome.
For sure. Maybe something that will come back up into the next couple of years. But Coach, obviously, thanks for your time. One last question for you. For a lot of fans that are watching this team and following this Tigers program this year, what are some things that they should be on the lookout for, as well as some players to keep an eye on by the end of the year?
What to look out for when you show up and watch this team is you're just going to find a team that is completely gelled. They're fun to watch. They've been together forever. They love to play for each other. There's no one kid that's out there that just wants to win for himself, and they are a fun group to watch. I'll tell you what, we have 12 kids on the team. Of course, only 9 start. At any point in time, anybody can be a superstar on this team. We can plug and play where we're at. Of course, the kids to look out for is going to be your Austin Gregg at the plate, Austin Tires, Rory Fish on the mound, Owen Chesebro on the mound. We've got our infield is solid with Obanoff at short and Gates at second. Our outfield with the outfielders Blake Ryder, Zayden Phillips, and Owen. They've played a lot of sports together, so they're fun to watch.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, thank you so much for the time, and good luck to you and the Tigers this year.
Thank you.
Big thanks to Coach Chesebro for joining us here on the show. With this Grant team, a lot of high expectations, Jack. As you mentioned before the interview started, this team wants championships this year. Conference, district, and even hopefully even longer. This team has a lot of success on mind this season.
Yeah, most definitely. They're another team that plays on all facets of the game. An amazing pitching staff followed up with an amazing lineup. They can really do it all on a night-to-night basis.
Absolutely. Before we get into games to follow this coming week, big thanks goes out to rivalsmi.com. You can shop your local team as well as local legends merch on the store, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, and more, rivalsmi.com, as well as big thanks to Dazos Digital. If your business needs help with digital advertising, web design, graphic design, the whole nine, DazosDigital.com to find more information and all the services they provide. Let's take a look now at some games in baseball, those per MHSAA.com. There obviously will be some games that are changed that will have new scheduled dates due to all the rain and the storms that we've had over the last week. This is going to be for Thursday, April 16th, as you are listening to us here. So some of these games might be in the books already. Big Rapids hosting White Cloud, as well as Everett and Reed City will do battle there from Everett. Howard City, Tri-County, and Kent City will do battle there from Howard City. Molly Stanwood will host the Grant Tigers there on Thursday. Newaygo hosts the Hornets of Central Montcalm, 4 and 6 o'clock there, as well as Chip Hills will host Lakeview, two teams already off to winning records so far this year. Friday, April 17th, Belding and Grant will square off there from Belding. Muskegon Catholic Central will host the Indians of White Cloud, as well as Shepherd will host Big Rapids. That'll be a fun game for a lot of those Cardinal players who played at Shepherd earlier on in the summer ball season. Games over the weekend do have tournament play for Kent City. They will start against Shelby. Their next game will be determined with the other side of the bracket. Lakeview will be hosting Blanchard Montebello. That game will be coming up on the 20th on Monday. Tuesday is when conference play will certainly start to begin. Central Montcalm hosts White Cloud in the CSAA White play. Tri-County and Grant will do battle there in CSAA Red. They're from Howard City. Molly Stanwood will host Kent City there for their opening games in the CSAA White, formerly Silver. Newaygo will host Big Rapids, Lions and Cardinals squaring off there from M37. And then Chippewa Hills will host Reed City in Remus coming up on Tuesday. Thursday games also we will mention on the next episode of the Rundown. On the baseball side of things here, Jack, couple big games obviously that'll be on deck. I'm going to be very interested to see Reed City off the wins against Molly Stanwood, right? Coach Granis, that crew. And you look at some of the players that they have in the order. Caleb Sommers, who, congratulations, is headed to Mid-Michigan upcoming this next fall, as well as you're looking at guys like Grady Dozier's been great on the mound. Let's see if he can continue it as well. That might be a very interesting game for how well the Warriors especially have played in their 8 games this year, winning the first 7 of them.
Yeah, most definitely. Very intriguing matchup for really both those squads. This Chip Hills team has started to, build some momentum. You mentioned the 7 wins, and this Reed City team could be an interesting team to watch for the next couple of weeks on how they get this first half of the season going, because it's going to be a very important conference stretch in where they end up and how they get prepared for the postseason.
Absolutely. Kent City and Morley might be a matchup as well to look out for. And Jack, I know you're looking at your own Cardinals. That's going to be a very interesting game against the Blue Jays. And for a lot of those Cardinal players, bad taste in their mouth from last time they were on that field in the summer.
Yeah, most definitely. Even from summer ball, even from, a couple years back playing against Shepherd, this team has been to Shepherd a couple times and know what that field and facility presents, any issues, sunlight. These guys have been there before, but this is a team that in Big Rapids that has a lot of potential, a very senior heavy roster, and they know what they have this season. And this Shepherd team sits in their way on Friday. This is another good ball club and a very good early season test for the Cardinals.
Absolutely. Let's take a look now at softball games upcoming here this week. We will start in the same order in the calendar flipping action. We'll start on Thursday, April 16th. Big Rapids host White Cloud there from Big Rapids. Everett will host Reed City in a little downtown regional competition. Howard City Tri-County against Kent City. Eagles and Vikings will square off there from Howard City. Molly Stanwood will host the Grant Tigers. They are undefeated through their first 6 games so far. The Mohawks are. Newaygo and Central Montcalm will do battle from M37 in Newaygo, as well as Chippewa Hills. The Warriors will host the Lakeview Wildcats. Looking ahead to Friday, Belding against Grant, 1 single game as per MHSA.com. Belding against Grant at 4:15. And then North Muskegon and Kent City will square off in some regional action there from North Muskegon. Looking ahead to Saturday, April 18th, Kent City and Shelby will play a pair, the Tigers and Eagles squaring off from Kent City. And Central Montcalm will travel to Rockford to play the Rams. That'll be some very interesting games to follow for sure. April 20th, one singular game on tap, Lakeview against Blanchard Montebello. Should be a fun game there from Lakeview. And then April 21st, back to conference action. It'll be the same as the baseball, but I'll run through them again just in case you missed it. Central Montcalm will be hosting White Cloud in a pair, 4 and 6 o'clock. All these games are. The Vikings will square off against the Tigers from Howard City. They're Tri-County and Grant. Molly Stanwood will host Kent City there in their opening matchup. Newaygo will face Big Rapids. They're at home for the Lions. And then Chippewa Hills will host Reed City. They're from Remus. Big games upcoming here, Jack. I know I'm certainly going to be seeing what Molly Stanwood does against Kent City. Both those teams were some interesting games last year. Very, very competitive in their mind. I think this could be very similar this time around. What are some games that you're also following?
Yeah, I think it's that one right there. 2 6-0 teams going at it. You also have Newaygo and Big Rapids. Could be a very interesting matchup for the Lions and the Cardinals. Cardinals kind of struggling right now. Newaygo starting to find themselves. They're still 3-3. And then Reed City, Chip Hills. That's another one that Reed City's 0-6. But Chip Hills is a team that's 1-1-1. Could be another interesting matchup. Those are 3 pretty good matchups on tap for this coming week.
Absolutely. And we'll see how the Hornets will hold up against Rockford and the Rams. That should be a fun matchup there against a Division I opponent. That's going to do it here on The Rundown. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back at it next week with some more great local sports coverage here from the CSAA. Jack, any last words?
This is just an exciting time of year. Everybody's starting to get into the swing of things. Mother Nature's still holding off some games, but it's going to be exciting the next, 6 weeks, really, until we get the playoffs. And then it's playoff time. Can't wait to break down those brackets.
It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and we'll also touch on the other sports as we get information and with some mid-season recaps as well as previews for the postseason later on, as well as other great interviews coming. Jack, I know baseball and softball, we covered a lot today, but there's going to be some big games coming up at the beginning of the month that you mentioned to me as well. We're going to be looking at some fabulous matchups as we get a couple weeks in.
Oh, yeah, there's going to be some amazing matchups. Some of these teams we're talking about, just Kent City and Morley Stanwood already this week. Those are 2 teams where it's going to come down to the wire who ends up winning that conference. There's just so many great matchups, and I can't wait to cover this season.
Should be a lot of fun. Stay with us. Subscribe on Big Rapids Daily News on YouTube. You can also listen to reruns of this episode on WBRN 3:30 p.m. on 1460 and 107.7 FM and occasionally 96.5. Until next time, for Jack Heckman and Brandon Worth, so long, everybody. We'll see you later on the next edition of The Rundown here on WBRN.